Roughly 1.5 million American children attend state and federally funded pre-kindergarten in 43 states and Washington, D.C. But research shows quality and access vary across states, even from one classroom to the next. A number of states want to improve the quality of pre-K classes, and that's been playing out in Tennessee. John Yang is back with this report he filed from Memphis for our weekly segment, Making the Grade.
X-ray.
In Deanna Rayner's pre-K classroom in Memphis, the lessons go beyond just the ABCs.
But I really want them to know how to get along, socialize well, learn how to problem solve, learning how to stay in control, understanding themselves, understanding that other people have feelings just like they do. It's glitter.
For Rayner's students, that means learning to settle my glitter.
Settle my glitter. What does that mean?
That's just like when I'm just all out of whack and I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so, so when you're settling your glitter, it's just calming down. In order for the children to really do well in school, in society, at home as a whole, that, we need to be rooted and grounded socially, emotionally.
Porter Leith, a nonprofit group, designed this state-of-the-art early childhood academy to not only teach children, but also teach teachers, hoping to improve pre-K education across the area.
So you've chosen your book. How do you feel, Jaden?
Here, social-emotional skills are an essential part of learning. Skills educators say that will help children in kindergarten, elementary school, and throughout life. In Tennessee, debate over pre-K has been sparked by a study that suggests the benefits may not be lasting. Mark Lipsey, a professor at Vanderbilt University's Peabody College of Education, studied children in the state's voluntary pre-K program, which targets low-income families.
The kids who did not go to pre-K actually are doing better than the kids who did go to pre-K. On the state achievement tests, for example. In third grade, there are significant differences favoring the group that didn't go to pre-K on the math and science measures.
Lipsey says more research is needed to figure out why that is. Are pre-K programs lacking, or are elementary schools not reinforcing the benefits of pre-K? Experts say the expectations for long-term effects from pre-K come from two model programs in the 1960s and 70s. Studies found that as adults, participants had higher graduation rates, better wages, and more stable marriages. But Lipsey says those programs served a small number of children beginning at infancy. He says 9 months of pre-K on such a large scale today are unlikely to have similar results.
I frankly don't think we're going to see the life-changing kinds of long-term outcomes. There's just no real evidence of, no real convincing evidence of that for contemporary pre-K programs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Early education advocates say that doesn't mean pre-K programs have no value.
We don't have teachers who are just babysitting children.
Karen Harrell is vice president at Porter Leith, which educates children from low-income families who are heading to first grade in Shelby County Public Schools. It is not part of the state pre-K program.
They're actually teaching children, they're challenging children, they're helping to grow our children so that they can in turn be productive citizens.
Deanna McClendon is director of early childhood programs for public schools in Shelby County, where 47% of the children live in poverty. She says in her district, students who had pre-K perform better than those who didn't through the third grade.
Without the 9 months in pre-K, I think that our children and our families in this community almost never catch up. And so 9 months can be a deal breaker for the children and families in our community. They can either make you or break you.
Tennessee's voluntary pre-K program began in 2005. Now almost every school district in the state has at least one full-day pre-K classroom. Enrollment is more than 18,000.
And it ends with the letter Z.
Tennessee ranks in the middle of state pre-K programs on most measures, including per-child spending and access. Proposals for state-funded universal pre-K are an issue in this year's Tennessee governor's race. Opponents are citing the Vanderbilt study.
Our current pre-K does have mixed results, the data shows.
As at this candidates forum earlier this year.
They need to be high-quality programs, not just babysitting.
You are teaching these skills. You are ensuring that these competencies exist.
Improving quality is the idea behind Porter Leith's Teacher Training Project, the first in the state for pre-K instructors. Some classrooms are set up for monitoring. Playgrounds aren't just for children to play, they're places for teachers to observe. Porter Leith, which is funded by federal Head Start money and private donations, not only trains its own teachers and classroom assistants, it offers training for others, including those in public schools, free of charge. And Porter Leith takes a holistic approach. Family caseworkers help parents with housing, jobs, and their own education. County School Administrator Deanna McClendon.
This is a way for single parents, working moms, families who are trying to get themselves established and their young families. I think this is a way of supporting them as a family.
Did he wait for his turn?
The Vanderbilt study looked at standardized test scores as the measure of math and language skills. But what about the kind of social-emotional skills that Deanna Rayner teaches?
Is there an easy way to measure the other part, the getting along, the behaving, the sort of knowing how to interact and all work together?
Absolutely, absolutely. As far as measuring, if we've had children who first came in who were very feisty, you know, I'm with my hands, you know, I'm using my hands inappropriately, my words inappropriately, till now. When I'm getting upset, you know, I feel, I'm keeping myself together. I'm not reaching out. We go over those rules.
There are 7 days. There are 7 days. There are 7 days in the week.
As you talk about helping the whole child, did the standardized test scores miss something?
I think it absolutely missed something. We need to be in a position to where as we're educating our children on how do I self-regulate, how do I calm myself down when I have a situation or a conflict comes up. If children cannot listen, if they cannot follow instructions, then they're not going to be able to learn.
All important skills, early education advocates say, for a child's long-term education.
What goes
Up must come.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang in Memphis.
So important to follow these education stories.